Greetings, Mandrake here. This is Mission 12, Repository on the difficulty Legendary with all skulls on except for the Bandana skull. And as per usual, I will be skipping cutscenes. I am carrying a full BR and a full 8-shot skewer. I'm going to collect a 12-shot shock rifle and a full sentinel beam. First 25-33% of this mission will be spent fighting sentinels. The rest will be mostly banished, with a couple sentinels sprinkled in here and there. This first room is going to summon 3 sentinels, so I'm going to put up a couple threat sensors. Here's the trigger line is just the edge of this barrier, past more than halfway point, kind of near to the second half of the barrier, and triggers them, they come out. And I'm going to do the fight from the doorway. I prefer to fight these guys with a drop wall, so it does the extra shock effect, so it does extra damage on the sentinels. On this fight, I'm a little slow with going after these guys. I wait for the drop wall to recharge. There it goes. Getting low on shock rifle ammo, switch to the sentinel and sentinel beam and take care of them. So the stockpile on this first part of this mission is kind of simple. I'm not moving a whole lot. I'm moving the skewer, which I'm going to save for some sentinels. And I want 2 full shock rifles going forward when I do these fights. Being that the sentinels drop plenty of shock rifles, it's just to ensure wherever I'm fighting from, doorway and such, I've still got a second full one with me. The trigger line is kind of mixed as far as this first wave of enemies. When you get out into this big hall, the trigger line is different. Sometimes it can be activated by just getting to the door, crushing through the doorway. Sometimes you have to step out onto the walkway. It's really random and various. In some cases, there might be already a couple, 1 or 2 already floating around out there. But when you hit the trigger line and get summoned, at least 4 of them will come out. I believe this first fight there's going to be 6 sentinels that fight. They get daring. Sometimes they don't. Typically, they don't come in the room, but they will. You get 1 or probably 1 at a time that want to push and come into the room. But they usually kind of keep their distance and kind of hang back. You just got to be ready for whenever they decide to kind of push in. It'll just be like 1 want to come in, just get daring. I'll grapple pound to check the status of my shield. Here comes one pushing. I wasn't able to shoot because my shock rifle needed to reload. I want to push again. My technique is usually shoot first and then punch. And I find that sometimes I can backfire, because if I need to get a shield and I go to shoot and punch, those shot might actually blow it up, and thus there's a chance of getting a shield recharge. Alright, the first wave is done. The second wave, the second summoning or emergence, can be from actually walking up and touching this wall. Other times, and again, this is another one of those kind of randomness. It's kind of like I'm unsure, because I've done this several times, and the results have been different. It really varies. So, like I say, going up to that the hard light ammo dispenser, you can just kind of go up and touch the wall. It could summon the next set of sentinels, which is going to be 4. Other times, you probably have to walk out onto the walkway into the center part where the glass is and touch it, and that that could initiate and set off the trigger to send them out. I'm just gathering up shock rifles for the next fight. So here I go, I touch the wall, they didn't come out, step out on the walkway, and here they come out. So this time, just going on the walkway called them out, or summoned them. Other times you have to walk all the way out to the center part where just at least touch the glass on the walkway in the center part, and then they'll come out. It's really kind of 3 different trigger lines, and it seems kind of random and vary from playthrough to playthrough. Should be 4 sentinels off of this Emergence. It's a good place to fight from, a safe place to fight from as far as other things. Now the drop wall is down, I'm going to hang back. Here it comes, see if this one's going to push in. The shoot first punch was to, in that case, was to take out the shield, and then I could punch him. And as I did the grapple pound, didn't do it well, but my shield looks good. So this should be the last one, and then I can move on. Alright, that should be the second wave. There's 2 more waves to go. Now at this point, I'm just going to move the BR and the skewer. I already have 2 full shock rifles down at this end. Topped off the sentinel beam so that it's full. And I'm going to go to another doorway. I'll fight from this doorway here. I'll put my stockpile, get set up here. I save the skewer for when there's a pretty tight grouping of sentinels that are kind of built up in a tight area. Because firing it through the drop wall into hitting one of them can set up a chain reaction and kill off 2 and 3 at a time. I'm going to put this hard light coil down at this point in front of the doorway to kind of let me know that that's the doorway I'm trying to go to, because as you go down this hall, it all looks the same until the doorway just opens up and it's right there. So I come down to this area, and there's a trigger line that summons out the next 4. I get in the hallway, put my threat sensor down. Might have to shoot at them to let them know I'm here, kill me, I'm here. Okay, one of them is down from just the shock effect. And the second one's down. There's going to be 2 more. But I think it turns out there's going to be 4 more. Here comes 4 more. I got a bunch of them kind of grouped together. I'm going to try and use the skewer. It didn't really do its job. I think I took too long. Punched him, got my shield back. Wait for the drop wall to recharge. last two. And now that's the third wave. Did the grapple pound, check the status of my shield, looks good. I'm going to move on to the next doorway for the last wave of enemies, last wave of sentinels. And for this doorway, I'm going to put up a small hard light bomb. I'll use 3 hard light coils. Just gathering weapons and ammo. There's a third hard light coil across the chasm. Fighting from this doorway because this is the last doorway that you get before you get to the very end. And so it's quite distant and can be risky. You have to be real quick. You'll be able to set off this trigger. 4 sentinels will emerge. It's at the very end of this hall, this walkway. You walk up and touch the door, the wall like I did before. Sometimes can set them off. If that doesn't do it, you have to walk out on the walkway. If that doesn't do it, which typically it does, you can walk out here, it does, but you have to touch the glass this time, and then they come out. Then it's a race to get all the way back to that walkway, and why it's risky is you have to walk out into the open. You gotta be quick to get around the corner. I get up into the doorway, and I'm safe. Wasn't even shot at. Other times I've been shot at. I want to wait for a good size type grouping that gets near the coils. Set it off. Now just one remaining, and with that melee should charge my shield if it needed it. And they're verified that shield is good. Now that's it for the enemies for this large long hall, and I can just gather the weapons and move the stockpile. This stockpile will consist of the BR and the skewer, along with 2 full shock rifles. However, I will return for a 3rd shock rifle because some of the next few enemies or the next few sentinels coming up are going to require more shots than usual because they're pretty distant. So I'll go through a lot of shock rifle trying to get them knocked off, but it will make the upcoming fights much easier by taking them out. looking for one more shock rifle, and I really don't want to have to go too far out of my way to get one. It doesn't even have to be full. I'm just going to grab the one I found, touch up on a couple of them that are laying around, and I'm going to head on and move the remaining part of the stockpile. And always skip to the next chapter to see the start of the next engagement.
Should give us what we need.
And I realize there is a shock rifle on that rack, but I've found the last few times I've tried to do this, it's still not really enough even when I collect it. So just below the walkway here, just below the deck, is a sentinel that doesn't have a shield on. So he should be 3 or 4 shots through the top wall. And then off in the distance, there's 2 of them. Those are the 2 I want to pick off. And it does take quite a bit of ammo to get shots on them, because they like to hide. Can't always do it with the drop wall because it takes time to recharge. It takes time to get your shots on them because they like to hide. Get the cover. You have to wait for them to step out. Yeah, full on 4 shots through the drop wall. Still doesn't. That was a lot of shots to kill that one. And then the second one finally dipped in. And then as you saw that other one peeking, there's 4 of them that gather up in that area, which I will get to later. They're not going to be too much of a challenge. I can fight from within a doorway on those. I'm going to move the stockpile and get set up for the next engagement with 2 more sentinels. There's a trigger line I just crossed that summons this sentinel. And kind of unusual that the second sentinel gets involved. He usually just kind of hangs out in that area. And this one he engaged, which is, like I said, unusual, but it worked out. Didn't cause a problem at all. Grab the stockpile and move. Won't take too much time to move this stockpile. That first sentinel that I killed in this room usually is going to drop his shock rifle on the ground. However, the second one usually hovers over the abyss. When you kill it, it falls off and you don't get it. So I'm usually really short on shock rifle ammo when I get in here. However, it worked out because I grabbed the extra one. And then it turns out this second one, since he did what he did, gave me another shock rifle. So I've got plenty of shock rifle ammo for the next couple engagements. So there's a trigger line that, since these are already out here and floating around, there's a trigger line. They hang out below the walkway, and by crossing it right about now, or here, right there, then they want to come up above the walkway. This would be a good place to use these, and I missed. There was 4 of them, and one of the 4 is a slightly different sentinel. He's kind of a slow clunker. You know, he's aggressive. He just kind of makes a straight beeline. I already got him killed off. He drops a heat wave, but since he's over abyss, it just kind of went into the abyss and can't be collected. My shield is slightly damaged, so I'm not too concerned with it. This next fight, when I did just this mission, as far as the series from the prior, with the prior series to this, where, you know, it was just to kind of see can you even do this LASO without Bandana, just to kind of proof of concept, just kind of show, hey, it can be done. This section, this particular fight coming up, appeared to be, or turned out to be, rather difficult, because the 2 sentinels, when they emerged and came out, they stayed at the other end, and it was hard to get shots on them and hard to do anything with them, and it was hard to, and it was a real struggle. But now they seem to want to attack you. So the trigger line is right in the middle of the bridge that you walk up to, and you trigger it, turn around, and come back, and they'll come out. But in this case, for these playthroughs, they come out and they come down to this end rather than hanging out at the other end, making this fight much more achievable. And they don't hang out over any of the ground, so I won't be collecting any ammo from them, but I do have plenty in this room. I also find once you get up to the next plinth and activate that, I guess there's a cutscene, I skip it, that in some cases, if you have extra weapons, you have weapons laying around, or whatever weapons are dropped from the sentinels, some of the stuff disappears. I find some playthroughs, some stuff sticks around and it's normal, but other playthroughs, the game takes them away, and you come back, and I come back into this area, even the stuff back in here can be despawned. So that ends up being a little bit of a challenge. Now, after the cutscene and you activate this plinth, some banish is going to come through the door. It'll be 2 grunts and a brute. And then when you get inside the room, once you get halfway through the hallway, it will summon 2 sentinels to come out, and inside that room is going to be 2 skirmishers as well. So it's nice and tricky what they do with the enemies that come out. I do want to mention there is another tricky thing where they try and get a sentinel summoned on you from behind, which we'll get to here in just a moment. So there's going to be 2 grunts and a brute, and I'm going to have the sentinel beam and put a drop wall down, try and get these guys taken out. At least preferably before they throw a nade. Come on, brute. That's out. Got him killed. Now there's another goofy thing with this. Whenever you get close enough and you say, okay, he drops a rocket launcher and there's nades and a couple disruptors, and you go up, and right in front of you, as you try and pick it up, the stuff disappears. And like I said, right in front of you. So off there in the distance is a sentinel, and it's one of the clunkier ones. Kind of a tank or dopey one. He's, as far as aggressive, he just kind of makes a beeline. They don't have the agility and flow and have the flutterness like the other ones, where they aggressively fly around quickly. This one's a little slower. But if you go in and engage the enemies in the next room, see him kind of peeking out, he'll come in behind you, and as you're engaging those enemies, he's behind you, shooting you, and yeah, it could be restarted. And he's just making a beeline, coming straight toward me. He's doing something kind of unusual here, kind of going below the deck. And luckily, I was able to get a punch on him. Got my shield back, but no matter, had I not gotten my shield, it would have been fine, because taking out these next few enemies, I'll have opportunity to get my shield back. So this next room has halfway through this hallway, and you'll set off a trigger line that will emerge, or that will summon 2 sentinels. There's one skirmisher at the top here. Takes out one of the sentinels. I'm going to switch back to the shot. Punch on that one. This other one here kind of gets caught outside the door frame on this left side. I should have a full shield, but if I didn't, the next few enemies is going to be a mule and 2 jackal majors. So if I needed a shield, I could kill off the 2 jackals and save the mule and just get a punch on him. Or whatever I can get. If a jackal major is left, I'll just get the punch off of them. But given that I have a full shield, I don't need to risk anything having to get close to them. I can just get the headshots and get the kills on them and not have to mess with it. So the stockpile is still kind of the same. 2 full shock rifles, BR and skewer, sentinel beam. I'm going to add to that briefly there. I'm just making sure that it's full. Shield is full. Now I can just shoot these guys. I don't have to mess around with trying to get a shield. Just outside the doorway is a kinetic ammo dispenser along with a shock ammo dispenser. The mule drops a Ravager, which will come in handy because there's going to be a brute with a rocket launcher in a hallway. I'm going to save the Ravager for him. And that's all I'm going to use Ravager for, and I'm just going to leave it behind. That should do it for this stockpile. At the end of this hallway, on this walkway, there's going to be a brute sniper with a skewer and 2 skirmishers. It really varies as their positioning and their behavior. In this instance, I got the ideal situation. He's already stepped out, and he's already here. And the 2 skirmishers do kind of hang back a bit. I have to kind of push up to them. And you can see on the threat sensor, there's a brute in a hallway. He's just crouched and with his finger on the trigger, waiting to fire around the corner. I've seen different behaviors with this one. Usually stays in the hallway and stays in place. But from playthrough to playthrough, it varies. Sometimes it will actually step out, come out of the hall, and pursue you all the way down to this area here. He knows where you are. He'll actually pursue you down here. So I am trying to keep an eye on this brute to make sure he isn't going to just step out. Because I don't want to be caught off guard with wrong. Because I'm moving the stockpile and I'm going to be dropping this stuff. And he stayed in place, so I'll just take the Ravager, put a drop wall down, and get him taken care of. Those shots prevent him from actually throwing that. If you get the shot on him quick enough, he might not get it taken out, but he took it out, and the impacts of the shots had some pushback and had him drop in, so he drops the nade. Doesn't shoot, doesn't throw nade, and it worked out well. So my stockpile will be the same, but missing the Ravager, even though I threw it through. I think I just got it through the doorway. If I need to come back to it, I can come back to that point past the doorway. I will be taking the rocket launcher. I'm trying to reload it. It won't reload, so it probably just has 1 shot in it. And I'll take the plasma pistol and pulse carbine. The stockpile is growing. So what I mean by get these items through the doorway is when you get down to the next doorway.
Head out the window.
Once this next door opens, the door behind you will close and lock, and that's it. There's no going back and no opening it back up. I want to make sure I get all my stuff through the doorway, and if there's anything I feel like I need to come back for, or do I need something, then I want to make sure I get it through the doorway. If I leave it back here, then that's it.
That structure in the distance, not by sight, but by signal.
Purpose?
Unknown, but the Banished are diverting forces to guard its construction.
The Sentinel beam will come in handy because there will still be Sentinels to fight. So I am keeping it for that. The rocket launcher will be used much later, but it's for any kind of situation where, say, if there's an elite and he's hiding behind something, then I can use the rocket on him. But I find some of these elite fights are not necessarily hiding behind something that I can shoot and get the boom and cowbell to work on them. But rocket launcher will come in handy much later on. I am going to carry this sniper rifle. It's got 4 shots in it. I will not use it in this mission, but I will carry it to the end of the mission and not use it in the next mission, but use it and save it for House of Reckoning. So this room is going to have 6 grunts and a mule, and that mule ruining the party, throwing nades, and just wrecks my drop wall. So this fight, I didn't have the pulse carbine out. I don't have the drop wall out, so I'm not getting extra shock effect. Usually just a couple shots, and it affects all of them. Their shields will go down. In this case, I have to use a lot more pulse carbine than planned. To work out this little bugger here, I can engage him and get my shield back, but the mule is kind of ruining the party here. He is nade happy. Come on, throw me another nade. Okay, it wasn't enough. Throw another one. There we go. So that melee there ensures I have a shield. And back to moving the stockpile. The mule dropped out of his backpack BR and AR. He was carrying a plasma pistol. The plasma pistol I have is full, so I don't have to mess with collecting it. There's usually a lot of stuff hanging out in that little walkway. I was just kind of clearing that stuff away, moving some weapons out of the way. I'm going to stack these weapons, pile these weapons up, and go up to the top and then just grapple them up. Similar to like what I'm doing here. Now the thing that's sometimes hard for me to remember is I gotta jump. Once I grapple and the weapon gets close to me, I need to jump, because the weapon can get caught on that ledge, on that railing, and it seems like you've collected it but you haven't, and then it just falls down to the abyss. And I've had a couple playthroughs where I end up losing one or two of these weapons, like the shock rifle or rocket launcher or something like that. Alright, this next room is going to have 2 Jackal snipers and then an elite that the Jackal snipers take care of easily. The elite can be problematic, but playthrough to playthrough has been worked out well. You just grapple them, grapple pound them. It's the next elite that you try and grapple pound, it doesn't always work out. It just seems to stun him, and it doesn't send him through the ceiling like that one did. This one can be pretty consistent with getting him done. So we've got the sword and a heat wave. They will come in handy. I will be collecting and taking them. I'll remove the stockpile. Just into the next room. This next room will have a plasma ammo dispenser along with a kinetic ammo dispenser, which I'll be making a couple trips to. Listen carefully and you can hear hovering a sentinel in the other room. That is the exit from the other path to the right. I chose the left path, which led me here. The right path will lead here as well. However, the enemies are different. A mule with 2 sentinels. Alright, so this room is going to have that jetpack brute captain. And that worked out. Sometimes when you shoot on him, he goes right back into cover. Secondly, there's a trigger line. If you go too far into the room, will then summon 2 sentinels. So I just wanted to get the brute captain killed. Then I can switch weapons for the sentinels. Here I am realizing, oh yeah, I've got sentinels. So I need the sentinel beam and the shock rifle. Here I am making sure I picked it up. I was a little confused there. So 2 sentinels are going to come out. And right about the middle part there, they come out, and I had the wrong equipment. So thought I could just grapple away, but I had the drop wall selected. Got blind on, I didn't realize it. I typically select the grapple constantly so that I know that I have it selected. And that particular time I didn't. This particular fight, not necessarily with these sentinels, but this fight with this room, there's a number of things that go wrong and just dumb things happen. So I'm just being rather cautious with my approach to this because of, mainly because of the elite. This elite has always been problematic. On paper, it doesn't seem hard at all or really anything challenging about it. But this room has its challenge because you have a doorway to the left and a doorway to the right. So to the right, you're going to have an elite, jackal sniper, and a skimmer. To the left, you got a brute with a rocket launcher, jackal sniper, and a skimmer. I want to try and get this jackal on the right killed off first. And in doing so, I got in the line of sight of that brute, so he started shooting. So the weapons I want to use for him are going to be a little different. I'm thinking the pulse carbine, but I'll take the heat wave. Because sometimes it's kind of like, well, do I want to use the heat wave or the pulse carbine? Sometimes this elite will step out and want to engage before I engage with the brute. Because I want to kill off the brute first. Because I don't need him shooting the rockets behind me as I'm trying to dance with the elite. And it varies from playthrough to playthrough how these enemies behave and react. Sometimes the elite will hang back into cover and not engage and not come out. And other times he'll just come right in the room and come right after you. The brute pretty much stays within the doorway. In some odd cases might fall back further back and fall back more into cover. I'm going to go after this brute now. Just shooting him with the pulse carbine through the shock rifle, through the drop wall, created enough arc and shock to the jackal sniper that it killed him. So I don't have to shoot at it. And so what's left is a skimmer, and for the most part is going to hang out where he's floating right now. He's not going to step out. So this elite, as I'm saying, it's unpredictable. There's also 2 plasma coils, so if I want to grapple pound them, I don't want to do it with those coils there. Yeah, there's a second one that's you can't really see, so you grapple pound there and you hit those coils, will set them off and it'll end up killing you. So here comes the elite. There goes my sword that I was going to use. And he moved out of the way of that. Now here comes the skimmer. He drops his sword, the nade explodes, and we'll come back to it, but where did his sword go? Because that'll come in handy, even though the sword I had got blasted over there. Because there is going to be one sword over there, it's just where did his sword go? I got that last skimmer taken care of. Now here's kind of a tricky part. There are 4 skirmishers to the right and 4 skirmishers to the left. I just crossed a trigger line, and they are scripted to run from right to left. And they will, the pathway, whether it's left or right pathway, will merge to a central pathway and a central room. And that's where those skimmers will, that's where the skirmishers are scripted to run and join. So see this kind of ribbed, raised walkway, or here in the on the floor? You pass over the second part of it, you just pass over it. That's the trigger line for starting these skirmishers. I got the last one. Now I want to know what my shield looks like. And I just kind of damaged myself by grapple pounding, and those coils took out what shield I had. But it works out because that's why I saved that last skirmisher, is so that I could try and get my shield back, and it worked out. So I am in good shape now. Should be 2 rocket launchers on this side, and 1 rocket launcher on the other side. At least that's the way I saw it. You had a skimmer carrying a rocket launcher, should drop it. As we've seen how the game reacts, it's kind of buggy with when a skimmer drops a rocket launcher. Yeah, so where'd that rocket launcher go? Running the scan. Where'd it go? Oh, look, there it is. Under the floor. How convenient. Go back and touch up on the rocket launcher I've been moving. I can move the last of the stockpile that I have. And I do want to kind of dilute some of the stockpile that I'm currently carrying, because some of the stuff I won't be using. But I'll get it all piled up in this area here, the bottom of the ramp. I only need to take 1 shock rifle with me. I don't need 2. Making sure it's full. The heat wave will be necessary. Making sure it's topped off and fully loaded. Now I'm looking for the sword, and like I mentioned, I remember it being in that area, and I think, okay, so it's not there. Did I bring it up? I'm also going to top off the ammo on this pulse carbine, because I'll still be using it. Make sure the BR is full. Oh, I just saw the sword. I remember rewatching this a couple times and trying to figure out where it was, and I just saw it. It's inside one of those piers, one of those columns, those slanting columns, which is the ones you jump up on to go get the skull. There's a skull on this map. And it's inside the column. I just saw it a moment ago. I ran the scan. So here's the sword, and it's right there in front of me. Can't see it because it's inside the column. So now I'm going to start looking around for it, thinking I had not brought it up. So it's been right here. I had it right in front of the doorway. Nope, not seeing it. So it's not in this room. And I dropped it off to my right, and a nade that the elite threw blasted it away, but it ended up going inside of that slanting column that I was talking about. So at this point, I'm just gonna have to accept that this is all I'm gonna get for this sword, and that can be problematic because it better not take more than 3 sword swipes to kill this elite coming up. Now I'm ready to take on this elite. Kind of a tight hallway. This is a difficult fight. Grapple pound doesn't always work on them. At least that's the way I've seen it from playthrough to playthrough. In most cases it doesn't like to work. And I could grapple pound him 3 times and it not work. And on that 3rd try it might be too late and then he just stabs you. Let's see how this grapple pound goes. Oh, what a surprise. But all 3 sword swipes were used up all that sword, and I absorbed the sword he was carrying. And I was sweating that one out. Now it's back to moving the stockpile into the next area. Set that stockpile down at the bottom of that ramp. Get set up for the next ramp. This next room is where all the skirmishers, if you didn't kill some skirmishers, they will gather in here. So being I killed off all the skirmishers, this room will have 2 grunts and 1 skirmisher. I want to draw them out, and I didn't have the drop wall selected, or it didn't select when I selected it, and just took the tiniest bit of shield damage. Really kind of irritated me. Kind of unusual that these grunts are not stepping out. And And that worked out. I was able to get the melee for a shield. And before the skirmisher could shoot, I got the headshot. Now the next section to have to move everything will be a lift. All the stuff, the whole stockpile will get moved onto a lift to go up to the next area. It'll take a little. It's a little bit of a walk to get to the room. It's like a big arena room. There'll be a plinth to activate the lift. I'll throw everything up the lift and go up. The tricky thing is going up when you get to the top of the lift, there's going to be a fight. There's going to be 2 grunts and 2 brutes that come through a door. And then I put the stockpile up the lift. It'll all get piled in one central pile, and so you make sure you have your weapons that you're going to fight these guys with already on you and not have to pick them up. I had done this before. I made it to that point and couldn't pick up the weapon I wanted. I kept picking up stuff that I didn't want to use or wouldn't work out well, and the drop wall only held for so long before something stupid happened. So being this room, there's nothing tricky with it. In some instances, you walk into like one of these arena rooms, and a cutscene starts, or the door locks behind you and stuff like that. But this one, I think you can go in and out of the room, and the door won't lock until you're like fully in the room. So in this case, I'm just trying to get everything in there before I really get into the room. I think I'm going to be saving the heat wave for the fight with the grunts and brutes, and I'll throw up all the other stuff. Alright, got the heat wave, it's selected, got the right firing mode. Here we go. I find sometimes if you kill off these grunts early, the brutes like to fall back.
It'll take us close to the surface.
But I really did not give that too much of a thought here, because this has been kind of problematic, so I want to go ahead and just get the kill. Not deal with any kind of stupid shenanigans. Killed him, and he got away. The second one kind of got away. What I mean by some kind of shenanigans is sometimes a brute can throw one of the spike grenades into your drop wall, and I might be sitting back 6-8 feet away from the drop wall, and there's an explosion, and I'm talking about an undamaged drop wall, and it explodes, and oh, you should be safe and secure, and you're like instantly killed, and it's very bizarre. And it's happened on at least 3 playthroughs. At least I've had a run ended that way. You got this brute sniper with a skewer. He's just waiting to pull the trigger, and then one of these brutes fell back, and it depends on which brute it is. Sometimes he goes to the left side of the doorway or goes to the right side of the doorway. So being I think I've got some shield damage, I'm going to want to melee this one and get a shield.
Spartans are such easy prey!
Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good. goodness, he even got his shield back. That was not a good choice, but it worked out. Now it's moving the stockpile.
You might be too late.
Now the rocket launcher is full. As mentioned, the sniper rifle is for House of Reckoning. I'll carry it all the way to that. Sentinel beam is going to be for the collecting the power seeds. When the next room that's coming up is the room that has that you need to get 2 power seeds, and so you branch off into other rooms to have to get the power seed. And in doing so, there's going to be a emergence of 3 sentinels, and so sentinel beam is for that. However, I realize one of the paths I take, I'll be able to collect a sentinel beam. So I don't believe I need to take the sentinel beam with me. And with those weapons I got stacked there, are those that I feel like I can leave behind. The skewer I'm not gonna take. Spare rocket launcher I don't need. I've got a full one, and there will be rocket launchers to collect. So this fight in this room, on paper and everything, it doesn't seem like it's that difficult, but there are some complications with it because you're entering the room from the bottom. There's 2 grunts to the left. There's a grunt mounted, or a grunt that's on a mounted plasma turret. I'm going to try and draw out some of these grunts by throwing the shot coil, or not shot coil, but kinetic coil. And I don't know what happened there. I tried to shoot and it, I don't know what I shot. Bizarre. But I got the first grunt killed, and the second grunt, I guess, I don't know what happened to the second one. I guess his nade killed him. I guess he was going to throw a nade and dropped it and it killed him. So now what's left is a Jackal Major to the left of the room, a Jackal Major to the right of the room, and a Brute to the back right and a Brute to the back left. And as I mentioned, a plasma turret with a grunt. And the game doesn't like to cooperate with trying to jump up on this ledge. There's this box, there's this little crate I'm looking at right there. You got to get on that and then hop up there. And in doing so, you're going to get shot at by the Jackal, and I didn't have the BR out, so I had to juggle that stuff around. Now when, so you see on the threat sensor what enemies are left. So you just got the 4. Jackal Major to the left, 2 Brutes, and a Grunt. See, there's a chance to take out this Brute. Wow. You can see how these rockets can just end a run. So there's a trigger line that I crossed by jumping across, and this Jackal wants to come out and play, so that's good. Now I'm down to 2 enemies.
There's the lift.
I gotta get
And
my
it's not powered up.
drop wall to
Banished
recharge.
are trying to trap us down here.
I can deploy it and take
We're
out
going
this
to need
brute.
to find a way to get it back online.
That one went much better and much more smoother than the other one. Now all that's left is this grunt, and this one can be problematic because I want to grapple past and get behind him, and that way I can melee him because I do have shield damage. So what I think I do is I'm just going to throw out a nade and see if he'll get off of the turret. And then in doing so, he wants to charge me. Hey, that'll work out. Come on after me. Throw another nade. And that worked out good. I've got a shield. All the enemies are down. Once all the enemies are killed, then the two doors open up. There's to make sure. See the status of my shield. It's now 100%. It's good. Couple rocket launchers laying around, but I've got a full one. I'll move the stockpile into here and get set up to go get the power seeds. Kind of looking back now as I can examine the weapons I'm carrying forward to this point. If there's one weapon I could leave behind, I guess it would be the heat wave. I don't recall using it. I don't recall using it on trying to collect either one of the power seeds or beyond that with the remaining fights. I don't have a use for it. So that's one more weapon that I could look at that can be left behind. I'm getting set up to go through this doorway. It'd be kind of, if you're facing the seed console, I'm going to go through the doorway on the right. There's going to be skimmers, so they're just headshots. I'm taking the rocket launcher, but I forget that, hey, these skimmers are going to drop rockets, so I'll end up just taking the rocket launcher back. These guys are just headshots. I can put a drop wall down and get headshots on these guys. They'll drop rockets, and I can push rockets. So there should be a total of 7 skimmers. And I didn't get my threat sensor far enough down into that room. I'm going to have to wait for these threat sensors to go through their charge and then redeploy them so I can see the next skimmers. Drop wall down and get these last 3. And they didn't even give them a chance to shoot. And I realized at this point, wow, should be a bunch of rocket launchers, so I don't need to bring this one, so I'm going to take it back and drop it off. So the next fight is going to be the fight with I think it's 2 scrap cannon chieftains. And the reason why I chose this path is there's a small room that you can see the doorway, you can kind of see it up ahead. There's a weapon rack with a cinder shot and 2 sentinel beams, which is why I really didn't need to bring a sentinel beam along with me. And that's why I didn't bring it, is I can get that sentinel beam. But I don't think I brought the sentinel beam even to the room where I brought in everything. So the cinder shot is is, even though there's inconsistencies with it, boy, when it works, it is great. And that's pretty much due to cowbell and boom, is why it is so effective in this. Pretty much one shot, and there's really no rhyme or reason as to why it works and why it doesn't. But one shot, you can just kill this full shielded chieftain. And sometimes it might take 8 shots. It's silly. So that's what I'm getting set up for here. You got these 2 chieftains. Put my threat sensor out, figure out where they are. One to the left, and there should be one off to the right. And get the drop wall down. So, took 2 shots for that one. And 1 shot for the first one. So what's next is you go just inside the room. And once again, it's kind of that area where it's kind of a raised part of the room, where it's kind of this ribbed, raised part of the floor. You cross that, and that's your trigger line for summoning the sentinels. There should be 3 sentinels that'll come out. And I have used the scrap cannon for doing it, for trying to fight these guys, but I find it slow. And even though it can get the kill, it does seem kind of slow, and I can take shield damage. And in one case, I've actually gotten killed because of just how the drop wall kind of failed. Alright, so you see there's 2 of them down below, 1 up top, so those are your 2, I guess, sentinel dispensers. Just past this crate, and here they come out. And they were slow to come out. I'll try and do the rockets to see if I can get a kill on at least 1 or 2, but I don't think it's. I don't think I really got anywhere with it. And yeah, I took some shield damage. But no worries, the next area, or the next fight that I come to, as in going through the next doorway to get the next power seed, there'll be an enemy I can melee. Will take the sentinel beam with me. Stockpile is going to be the shock rifle, sentinel beam, rockets, and cinder shot. As I go in this room, I can top off the sentinel beam, and it's painful.
Or maybe not. A teleporter just powered up. Come out of the portal, you'll end up in a corridor with another weapon rack. And I'm just looking around to make sure I got everything I need. And this weapon rack, actually it's not in this room, it'll be the room at the end of the hall. Throw the seed down into the next area. And here's the weapon rack. It's got 2 cinder shots. I'm just going to take the ammo for 1 of them. And after killing the next set of enemy, or after collecting the next power seed, I'll come out the same portal again into the same area. And I'll collect the next center shot. That door does look inoperable and permanently shut, however, that's just the appearance that it's going to give. When I plant the power seed, it'll open up and just lock off the door I already went through. There it opens up.
Not enough
The other
power.
one is
Wait,
just
is
locked.
that Earth?
Now this
Yes.
pathway will have
What's it doing here?
I think
It's
some jackal
beautiful.
snipers,
We need more power.
brute
Let's go.
snipers, and a mule. So pretty much the majority of what I'm carrying is going to be for the enemies with the power seed. Skirmisher, a couple jackal snipers. And there's a brute sniper. Actually, two brute snipers. They have skewers. And then there's a mule to the left of where you currently see those brutes on the threat sensor. He hangs out in this back left corner, or corner to the back left, behind a crate, which works out because if I get shield damage, I'm saving to get a shield recharge from him.
What is this?
Struggling with the shock rifle, trying to get the headshot. Typically, one single clean headshot with the with the shock rifle is going to get the kill on those brute snipers. With their movements, like he's looking to throw a nade, he kind of dips and you just get a slight miss. All right, this can be tricky. You know, he can throw a nade and things can really go bad. So I made sure I grappled him before he could really do anything, and got my shield. Now this next room is going to have a hammer chieftain and a jetpack brute captain. And once you kill off the those two chieftains, or at least the hammer chieftain and the captain, you step into the room as before. You'll hit a trigger line that will summon out 3 sentinels. And it's in the back of my head of the kind of buggy thing that happens with the drop wall and a spike grenade. So I want to make sure I keep my distance from the drop wall and don't have any kind of stupid spike nade shenanigans. I get this drop wall down, and did not deploy it quite well. Good, I got the captain out of the way. This guy's just kind of hanging out in the back. Just kind of having a difficult time there trying to get shots on him. It was nerve-wracking, but it's not over yet. Got these 3 sentinels that can really be a problem. I want to try and get the 3 of them killed during the life of the drop wall, and that can be problematic. The cinder shot can work well on that. However, you want to make sure you get the shield down because the grenade itself will just bounce off the shield and deflect and explode and not cause any damage. Once again, I want to try and get in the room. When they get summoned, I want to fire the rockets and see if I can get some splash damage on some of these. Magically had that work out. Not sure how that works well because a lot of those panels were damaged. Yep, I've got shield damage. That makes me a little nervous with the next fight, because it's going to be in one of those arena rooms, and you get a scrap cannon chieftain and then brutes. And sometimes you get, and one of the doors you get is like a couple brutes with a mule. In other cases, just a couple brutes. But the shock rifle, I'm sorry, not the shock rifle, the cinder shot will come in handy for killing off all those enemies. It'll work out. You guys just need to survive any kind of, any oncoming fire that the brutes may offer and not take any more damage. So I'll look at the weapons that I have, and there's some weapons I don't need to take, so I'm just going to be taking. Just throw in the rocket launcher. I'm taking the cinder shot for sure. I guess I decided that I don't need the sentinel beam or the shock rifle. Cinder shot is full. The rockets is for any kind of situation where it might come in handy. As in if I feel like the cinder shot isn't going to work out, or whatever weapons I do take with me won't work out, then I can always fall back to the rockets. My stockpile will be smaller than it was coming into this the room for the first time. Plasma pistol, pulse carbine. I probably, as it turns out, I won't even use the plasma pistol. It could get left behind. I think I bring it along as an option for an elite. The elites can be problematic given the situation.
This is not a negotiation.
I find that I get three different situations or three different options for taking out an elite.
You are aware.
I could do my elite noob combo with the plasma pistol.
Printed with yours.
I could do a grapple pound,
Government wants to
use
fight.
the cinder shot,
But hear
or use the
this.
rockets.
It is a battle you will not win.
But in most cases, the path that I take, I won't see an elite. However, in my last playthrough, or most recent playthrough, or two, the path I took had an elite, and it was completely unexpected.
In Sydney. Wiped it out.
Wiped out the headquarters?
All of it. We had to hide, regroup, come up with a plan
Stop her?
to survive.
Asked and unanswered. For a moment of safety, I nursed damnation on the scars.
Throw the weapons in because I think this is one of those rooms that you walk in and it locks behind you.
That's not good.
So you gotta make sure to get
Like
everything in
someone
here.
doesn't want us to
Now,
leave.
similar to like the Nexus, like
Plug
that
me
big
in.
room in the Nexus where I
This should be
labeled the
simple enough.
doors by the hands of the clocks. So the 12 o'clock door is gonna have a scrap cannon chieftain. The 3 o'clock door is gonna be 2 brutes and a mule. And the 9 o'clock door is gonna be 2 brutes. And they will go in that order.
Okay. Let's go save it.
There's the 12 o'clock door first. I missed. Got the hit. Took 3 shots to get him. 2 brutes and a mule. I don't need him throwing a nade at me, so I'm going to step back. Now I can get my shield back from this little bugger. Now this last door apparently is going to be 2 brutes and no mule. That was a close call. That spike grenade almost got me. And anytime now, Cinder Shot, let's get him. Thank you. So this room is done. There is a Cinder Shot. It's a 6-shot Cinder Shot. And a kinetic ammo dispenser, which is, I'll be making a few trips to it because when I leave this mission and go into the next mission, I want to make sure my BR is full. Because there's no ammo dispensers in the next mission, it's the road. However, there will be 3 BR rifles kind of laying around. There'll be 3 BRs laying around, I can collect them. It's just a matter of remembering for me. So this room here is going to have a couple skirmishers, a couple jackals, a couple grunts, and a couple skimmers. Come the skirmishers. Apparently it looked like 3 skirmishers. It's not particularly a difficult fight or a hard fight. It seems easy enough to do. I've made it this far, deathless. I want to make sure I make it through this without anything stupid happening. There's a skirmisher. There'll be one what you see on the threat sensor. The 2 grunts and 1 skirmisher to the left. This is kind of an unusual layout. I hadn't usually seen it this way before. The prior playthroughs didn't have it like this, so it's just kind of unusual. It can still be done. I'm not really concerned. Seeing my shots aren't really connecting or working, and I don't know what's going on with this. I don't understand that at all. How many times was that I shot that skimmer? And they seem like clear headshots to me. I don't need any of that nonsense from the disruptor shooting me. Alright, so Jackal Major. Finally got that skimmer. There's one more skimmer and a Jackal Major. I'm getting close. I'm getting down to the last few enemies. And once again, here we got these headshots not counting. I don't know what's up with that. So it apparently looks like my shield is good. And it doesn't matter how much BR ammo I use now, because I can always go back and get more. Now the only enemies remaining should be just 2 mules, and that shouldn't be any problem or any threat with those. It sure would be nice if I could just get them killed off without having to fire my BR. To really think about it, I could have just taken the cinder shot and just killed the 2 with the cinder shot, but I don't really know what that would do with the weapons that they drop, because one of the mules is gonna, in his pack, is gonna have a sniper rifle. It's an 8-shot sniper rifle. The one I'm carrying here is a 4-shot. And so that would give me a total of 12 shots going into the road. But more importantly, since I'm not using it on the road, I'm gonna be using it for House of Reckoning. So I don't want to use any rounds on it. So I'm going to have a lot more ammo than I had before going into House of Reckoning. Yeah, so I thought I'd just put an end to anything that could go wrong with him or shield, because my shield's good. But as it turns out, if I had shield damage, it doesn't matter. I'll get a new shield recharge when the next mission starts. So now, to get to the end of the mission, all I need to carry with me is the BR and the sniper rifle. And there's the sniper he dropped. Got it collected. He also drops a Hydra. So winding this mission down, just made it through Repository, LASO without Bandana, no deaths. So thank you for joining for this mission, and be sure to catch me on the next mission, The Road.
We made it. Now all we need to do is... Wait. I'm picking up something on all banished frequencies. That is not good.
What's wrong?
I know where he is. What this place is. This is where Chaklock shipped his victims to. The House of Reckoning.